Azerbaijan Institute for Democracy and Human Rights, and will be followed by Hungary on behalf of the European Union.
Thank you, Mrs. Moderator. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I want to make my speech about the human trafficking in South Caucasus. Trafficking in human beings is often characterized as a modern form of slavery. This perception evokes images of women, men, and children being forcibly taken from their homes and transported elsewhere for the purpose of sexual and labor exploitation. However, in reality, the vast majority of trafficking cases is an attempt to earn a living abroad, a distorted way of migration that went terribly wrong. In this case, Armenia and Georgia are countries of origin, transit and destination for victims of trafficking in persons in South Caucasus, as well as place where they are exploited. The breakup of Soviet Union brought many positive changes for Armenia, but it had also strong negative consequences, such as drastic decrease in economic well-being and access to housing and employment, which led to immigration. The economic hardship and the resultant need to look for work abroad and continuing gender inequality in Armenia were quoted by respondents as the main root causes of trafficking from Armenia. Information about trafficking in human beings from and through Armenia is sketchy and often not reliable. Existing limited knowledge about the profile of trafficked persons, vulnerability factors influencing the occurrence of trafficking, and modus operandi used by traffickers is generally based on information gathered from Armenian victims of trafficking who have returned home, have been identified and assisted. The majority of these are women and they were trafficked for sexual exploitation. Even this limited information available is not systematically collected and analyzed. The most well-known cases of trafficking were those of trafficking for sexual exploitation. This kind of trafficking is often understood in Armenia not as conditions similar to slavery, but it's mixed up with prostitution. The fact that the law enforcement units sometimes regard cases of pimping and engagement in prostitution as trafficking and vice versa is illustrative in this regard. There is a widespread view that a woman who consented to work as a prostitute cannot be a victim of trafficking, that she is simply a prostitute, a bad woman, who should have known better. In practice, all available documents of trafficking in Armenia, including the U.S. State Department Trafficking in Persons Report 2014, Armenia is considered to be mainly a country of origin. It seems that trafficking for sexual exploitation usually starts in Armenia, from where recruited victims are trafficked to Turkey, United Arab Emirates, and other countries. There seem to be two main trafficking routes: through land to Georgia, Batumi, and then to Turkey, or other directly, or through Moscow to the United Arab Emirates, and etc. In Moscow, Armenian victims sometimes get forged Russian passport. As for labor exploitation and trafficking for labor exploitation, it seems that the main destination country is Russia. I want to talk about Georgia also. In order to combat human trafficking, Georgia has for several years been dynamically carrying out a series of activities in terms of elaborating and efficiently implementing relevant legislative base. Human trafficking in Georgia is common, where people are subjected to forced prostitution and forced labor. In 2009, women and girls from Georgia were forced into prostitution in Georgia, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, and Greece. In recent years, cases of forced prostitution of Georgian victims were also documented in Russia, Germany, and Austria. Men and women have been forced into labor in Georgia, Libya, and Turkey. Men from Turkey are also forced into labor in the breakaway region of Abkhazia, which is outside the Georgian government's control. Street children in Georgia are particularly susceptible to exploitation through means of trafficking, whether it be through begging or set by third parties, including their parents. This subcategory of population is considered to be children working in agriculture and in the informal urban economy are especially vulnerable to forced labor. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. The next speaker now is